It's popping YouTube. Got another important video for y'all. So make sure y'all comment, like, subscribe before we get into tonight's content. Alright, without further ado, y'all read the title. Let's get busy. Let's get into it. Alright, so this is just I guess my perspective, my point of view, also my opinion, excuse me. Ooh, on how I feel. Ooh. Sorry about that. I gotta clear my throat. Alright. Okay. Ooh, about to hit y'all with something crazy. That's what's going on. All right. But yeah, let's get into it. Y'all read the title. Basically, this is my point of view, my perspective. This is my outlook on college education versus trades. You feel me? Skills, things of that nature. And in my opinion, I'm about to weigh out both pros and cons, and I guess you could take it for what it is, as far as like whatever you do with this information. But okay, let's get into it. So with trade schools, let's start. I'll do the pros and cons. All right, so we're gonna do pros. No, we're gonna do the cons first. Don't come around with the pros. Okay. Um, Cons about trade schools. Cons about trade schools. Most of these skills, they're kind of hazardous, kind of dangerous. Um, uh, yeah, not really safe. Uh, yeah, it's just hazardous. Outside of that, that pretty much is self-explanatory. I could think of some other things possibly, but that's pretty much the nitty gritty. It's most of these trades and stuff like plumbing, electrician, construction worker, truck driver, like all stagehand, you name it, forklifter. All of these have different hazardous approaches that you have to be mindful of. So that's one thing. And so let's get to the pros. Okay, so the pros, most of these programs, you only expend maybe anywhere from like a month all the way up into a year to get certified. Now, if you're being like an electrician, that probably is the max, which goes to about 4 to 5 years to be a certified electrician. Um, Also, as well, not to get off topic, but if you're an electrician or there's certain trades that allow you to start your own practice or start your own firm, where you can start your own business and pretty much service your own company and line up your own clientele instead of going through a corporation, stuff like that. So that's another pro as far as with the trade schools and stuff like that. But yeah, for the most part, you don't have to expend a lot of time. It's pretty much self-explanatory. You just get up in there, you learn, you do what you got to do, pass whatever test you got to pass, and then you're right there, out there on the job market. So that's pretty much what sums up the pros and cons from my perspective about trade schools and stuff like that. Also, well, I guess maybe that can apply to college as well, but I'll get to that point in a second. All right. So as far as with college, let's start off with the cons as well. Okay. Obviously, let's just keep it on honey. Most people that go into college, especially universities and big institutions, they got a lot of student loans, a lot of student debt, right? Um, so dealing with that, yeah, that sets you back. So unless you're like a doctor, you got a PhD, something that where you're getting compensated 6 figures a year, and you can offset that schooling and get it probably paid off maybe in about 7 to 10 years. You feel me? However, whatever payment plan you got set up, that's one thing. But for the most part, you don't want. This is probably my rule of thumb if I was to go back, or if I was to advise anybody to go into college. you don't want your tuition or your annual amount of how much you pay for your entire tuition for that point to be more than what you would make a year. So, for instance, if your tuition is about, unless you got a full scholarship and it's paid for, but if you coming out of pocket, um, yeah, $50,000, $60,000. Make sure that occupation that you're going in for that schooling for pays minimum that or more. Give or take, but for the most part, you know, and I'm not sure about the numbers, but I'm pretty sure it's a lot. So there's that. All right, so let's go about the pros about college. Okay, good thing about college is it has a solid network. Whatever aspirations, dreams, goals. There's a lot of like-minded people inside of whatever classes you're going into because you get to select your classes. Unlike high school or any other kind of education, you get to go in specifically for whatever thing that you're trying to specialize in, and more so times than not, you're going to be surrounded by like-minded people that's trying to achieve the same goal. So your network is definitely going to be strong, super strong. I think college has the best network out of any industry or any institution in the world. Like if you're trying to make connections and you're trying to meet people and you're trying to actually excel at who knows what and who they are, and just shaking the right set of hands, definitely I would say that. What's another thing I think about college? Depending on what college you go to, good culture, um, you know, just a good background. Even if you don't specialize in certain fields of work, just having a bachelor's degree or some kind of higher learning definitely has an advantage over the job market and stuff like that. So I just say what I have to say. But now it's time to get down to the nitty gritty. Okay, so if I was to choose, obviously, I would probably choose trade schools. Now it's a preference, but my only reason why I would prefer a trade school is because you're getting paid more, and you have to expand the uh, at least amount of time, and that's pretty much it, man. So, like I said, make sure y'all tap in, interact with this video. Got more on the way. So, with that being said, I'm up out of here.